On June 16, 1963, a crisp white Soyuz 7K-LK space capsule carrying an untethered supply of food and scientific experiments rocketed away from Russia towards the stars. Inside, strapped into the commander's seat, was a petite Russian woman with long dark hair and determined eyes. Her name was Valentina Tereshkova, and she had just become the very first human female to reach space. Tereshkova had been selected from over 400 candidates, having proven herself physically and psychologically resilient through grueling tests. The 26-year-old textile factory worker was one of 5 Soviet cosmonauts in training for a secret mission, the first of which would be a solo flight aboard Vostok 6. As it hurtled through the atmosphere at a speed of 27,000 kilometers per hour, she made 48 orbits of our planet, returning safely 3 days later on June 19th. This journey had not only made history, but demonstrated the strength, resilience, and intellect of women everywhere. But here's the thing. Throughout her time up there, she had forgotten something crucial. In fact, it wasn't even her fault. But before we find out what this crucial item is, let's take a closer look at Tereshkova and her incredible journey to space. Born in the Yaroslavl Oblast in northwest Russia, Tereshkova grew up working on her family farm. She developed a passion for flying at an early age and was active in local parachute clubs. In the late 1950s, she caught the attention of the Soviet Air Forces, who were looking for potential female cosmonauts. Impressed by her bravery and determination, they sent her to a special training center near Moscow, where she learned about space medicine, aviation, and engineering. After completing her training, she was assigned to the Soviet space program and began preparing for her historic flight aboard Vostok 6. The pressure was immense as she became the first woman sent into space by the Soviets and indeed any country. But Tereshkova remained calm and focused throughout her journey. When asked how she felt about being a pioneer for women in space, she replied, "I see my flight as a representative of the Soviet Union and all its people, women and men, and not just as a woman alone." As mentioned earlier, one of the biggest challenges facing early cosmonauts was the lack of a spacesuit. Unlike today's modern suits, which are designed to be worn outside of the spacecraft, the early suits were simply part of the spacecraft itself. This meant that cosmonauts were essentially locked inside their capsules for the duration of their missions. However, this also meant that they could move around more easily within the capsule, since they didn't have to worry about the bulkiness of a full suit. In addition, the lack of a spacesuit made it easier for cosmonauts to enter and exit their spacecraft when they were on Earth. Early space missions typically involved a parachute landing, and cosmonauts would need to be able to move quickly on foot once they had landed. A bulky spacesuit would have made this much more difficult. One way that cosmonauts dealt with the lack of a spacesuit was by wearing special underwear that was designed to protect them from the G-forces of launch and re-entry. These G-suits, as they were called, were typically made of a stretchy fabric that would conform to the body and provide some level of support. They also helped to keep cosmonauts in place within the spacecraft, so they wouldn't float around during launch and re-entry. In the case of Tereshkova, her flight suit consisted of a one-piece knitted fabric suit that was form-fitting and designed to protect her body during launch and re-entry. The suit was also equipped with a parachute that would deploy automatically if the capsule was destroyed. In addition to the G-suit, Tereshkova wore a pressure suit underneath her spacesuit. This suit was designed to maintain the pressure inside her body as the capsule entered the upper atmosphere and the pressure outside dropped dramatically. Despite these precautions, traveling in a space capsule without a spacesuit was a risky endeavor. There was always the danger that the capsule could be damaged, either during launch or re-entry, exposing the cosmonaut to the deadly vacuum of space. Additionally, the lack of a spacesuit meant that cosmonauts were completely dependent on the life support system inside the capsule for oxygen and water. Any malfunction in the system could have been fatal. However, despite the risks, Tereshkova and other cosmonauts who traveled in space capsules without spacesuits were able to make some incredible discoveries. For example, they were able to observe the Earth from a unique perspective and gather valuable data about our planet's atmosphere and oceans. They were also able to test the effects of weightlessness on the human body, which helped pave the way for future space missions. By the way, to help preserve the contents of space capsules and ensure they remain intact. Many of them are sealed after the mission with a special adhesive. This helps to prevent any unwanted changes to the contents and allows them to be stored safely for future study. Sometimes the capsules themselves are displayed in museums or other public spaces. But if the capsule is not preserved, the contents are carefully examined by scientists. This includes everything from the physical objects brought back from space to any samples of materials that were collected during the mission. The examination of these items can provide valuable insights into the effects of space on the human body and equipment, as well as the nature of space itself. All in all, the process of sealing space capsules after a mission is an important step in ensuring that the valuable contents are preserved for future generations. And now we finally come to the answer to the question posed at the beginning of the video. What did Valentina Tereshkova forget in space? The answer is both fascinating and amusing. She forgot her toothbrush. You heard that right? In the midst of the intense training and preparation for her groundbreaking mission, someone on the ground crew accidentally left her toothbrush behind. And while it may seem like a trivial detail to us today, in the high-stakes world of space travel, it's a big deal. Imagine being strapped into a space capsule, hurtling through the cosmos with nothing but a tube of toothpaste and no way to brush your teeth. Talk about a daunting prospect. But it's not all that surprising when you consider the complexity of a space mission. There are so many pieces to put together, and every item has to be carefully considered. A toothbrush probably wasn't at the top of the priority list. But it's not just the practical implications of not having a toothbrush that make this story interesting. It's also a reminder that even in the most high-pressure situations, human error is inevitable. The person responsible for packing Tereshkova's supplies likely had no idea that they were leaving out such an essential item. But ultimately, it was a mistake that ended up making history. Perhaps if they had packed the toothbrush, the story of Tereshkova's heroic 3-day space mission without brushing her teeth would never have been told. But fortunately, it didn't stop her from completing her mission successfully and returning home a hero. Upon her return, Tereshkova was greeted with a hero's welcome, appearing on the front pages of newspapers around the world and becoming a national celebrity in the Soviet Union. She was awarded many prestigious medals and honors, including the Hero of the Soviet Union, the highest award for bravery and courage in the Soviet Union. After her historic flight, Tereshkova continued to work with the Soviet space program, serving as a consultant and advisor. She also became a prominent figure in the Communist Party and held various political offices. In the years since her retirement, Tereshkova has remained active, giving lectures and writing about her experiences in space. She has also been a vocal advocate for women's rights and the advancement of science and technology. In conclusion, Valentina Tereshkova's journey into space was nothing short of remarkable. Not only did she become the first woman to venture beyond our planet, but she also accomplished this feat without a spacesuit, a testament to the strength and resilience of the human spirit. Her pioneering journey paved the way for future generations of female astronauts and inspired countless people around the world. And yes, she managed to do all this without forgetting her toothbrush.